something unique about our brand.
Unique things to Bruichladdich Distillery, there's many of them.
Something unique to the Old Forester brand. Well, there's not one thing, there's so many things.
Something that is unique about Compass Box.
Nicole is unique in a lot of different ways.
I think that one of the unique things about Fuse Spirits as a distillery is our passion to innovate and passion to create.
We are an independent Scotch whiskey bottler, blender based in London. Operationally, everything happens in Scotland, run by an American. We are the only company of our kind.
First of all, Tennessee whiskey and American whiskey, there's not that many producers. There's only a few heritage producers that are still around. So we're already a bit of a unicorn from the get. Something else that I think is really, really special about George Nicole is our size. There's not a lot of distilleries that are straddling the line between small boutique craft operations and large-scale industrial operations. And Nicole's really one of those where it's still made in this beautiful craftsman process, but in a way that is at a scale where it can actually be distributed and shared, and I think that's really special.
We take the approach of making our whiskey in the fermenters as much as making it in the barrels. I think you can look at some of our recent innovation products like the cold cut bourbon, which is our bourbon which is brought down to bottling strength with cold brew coffee, as well as our brand new Immortal Rye, which is our rye whiskey brought down to proof with a fermented black oolong tea called 8 Immortals. We get that tea from a tea purveyor in Denver, and we think that the tea really brings in some really nice honey, peach, and some tropical fruit flavors into the world of rye in a way that people might not be expecting and might not have seen before.
Our approach to making whiskey, we really focus on working with local farmers, the sustainability of what we do and things that we do in the distillery, how that affects the wider world in terms of our barley sourcing, in terms of our cask sourcing, in terms of packaging we have, everything, The traditional methods we have, there's no computerization in what we do. Our approach to making whiskey is very experimental, so we don't just make one type of whiskey, we experiment with peating levels. Maybe these things aren't unique, but it's certainly part of our DNA. It's certainly something that we've been doing for a long, long time. And one of the things we're very, very proud of, recently we were awarded B Corp status. For us it's a really big moment because it kind of validates a lot of the work we've done over the years and the beliefs we hold about putting people first, about putting the environment first, and considering the holistic approach to making whiskey and how it fits into the community and the people around it. So B Corp's a big thing for us, and we are the only distillery, certainly in Scotland, the only whiskey distillery that has that status. So something we're really, really proud of. Probably the other thing that I think we're really proud of, again, makes us unique, is I've really aimed to kind of embrace the community, embrace the opportunities that we're able to give to people here, and we employ around about 85 people, I think, at the distillery at the moment. We are probably the third smallest producer on the island, so we're not by any means producing a lot of whiskey. You can maybe hear some of the guys in the background actually, but we're employing a lot of people, and I think that's really, really important to provide opportunities and work in the community.
Certainly something that's unique about Highland Park is the peat that we use. We are the only Scotch whisky distillery to use peat cut on Orkney. If any of you have been to Orkney before, you'll realise that it's actually quite a windy place. There is nothing between Orkney and America except the Atlantic Ocean. Consequently, the islands are very few trees and have had very few trees over the millennia. So the peat that's formed on the Orkney Islands is made with low-growing shrubs, gorse, brackens, heather. There's very little woody material in that. When you burn the peat, as we do, to dry the malt that's produced at the distillery, it produces a very aromatic smoke. So it's not like the heavy, ashy, medicinal peat that you would find if we'd used dried malt using peat from the Scottish mainland or indeed Islay. So that's a critical, unique point to Highland Park, is the malt that we produce at the distillery is actually, it's heavily peated, but it's blended with unpeated, and that brings the peating level down to a fairly low in the new make spirit, certainly in comparison with the Islas, and it also gives a very floral, rich, fragrant, aromatic note to it.
This is a brand that has been around for 150 years and has never changed hands, never changed companies, even during Prohibition. It is a brand that has been able to be purchased. Maybe you had to have a prescription during Prohibition, but you could still get a bottle since the day it started, without fail. But Old Forester is very, very unique in the fact that it is completely made by us start to finish, every single element. So that includes the barrel that we make out of Brown-Forman cooperage, the yeast strain that we keep proprietary to us for Old Forester. We're distilling everything ourselves. It's going into our own heat-cycled warehouses. Everything happens here in Louisville. Every part of the process, whether it's the distillation or the maturation side, is incredibly crucial to the final flavor profile of something. So every single part of that process, we have made it a point to own and oversee to meet our quality standards.